Hey, what is happening? Welcome to the Robert Dos Wrestling YouTube channel. I hope you are doing well. And this is the Impact Wrestling review from May 10, 2018. So the show opened up with Josh Matthews in the studio, showing us footage and talking about Sami Callihan beating Don Callis during a ceremony on Destiny Pro Wrestling. And because of that, the Impact Wrestling management is having a meeting deciding the future of Sami Callihan in Impact Wrestling. Next, we got a video package of the main event of this episode of Impact Wrestling. Pentagon Jr. defending his Impact World title versus Eli Drake. Next, we got the first match of the night. The Latin American Exchange, LAX versus DJC and Andrew Everett, now known as CNE. And this was the third loss in a row for LAX. By the way, this was my favorite match of the evening, and the highlight of this match was the moonsault Andrew Everett did from the inside of the ring all the way to the outside. That moonsault was outstanding. But it looks like the crew of DJC and Andrew Everett are going big, and they're gonna win the gold real soon because they are challenging Eli Drake and Scott Steiner in the next week episode of Impact Wrestling. Next, we got a backstage segment with Grado and Joseph Park, and Grado revealed to the world who was his girlfriend, and his girlfriend was none other than Katarina, formerly known as Winter. So it's good to see her back once again on Impact Wrestling television, and this actually got me interested in seeing the play out of this angle on Impact Wrestling television now that Winter, aka Katarina, is part of this whole angle. Next, we got Austin Aries wishing Eli Drake to win the title because he wants to beat him for the title. This means that Impact Wrestling still see Austin Aries as a champion, and they want to keep him orbiting the world title scene, which that is a good thing for Austin Aries. Next, we got the second match of the night, Grado versus Raiji Ryu. Obviously, you knew that Grado was gonna win. By the way, Raiji Ryu looked a lot better that last time we saw him on Impact Wrestling, so that means that he is improving. After the match, we saw Joseph Park beating Big Down on the floor and left once again with the X mark card on his chest. So they are keeping that storyline going on. Who is gonna be the one behind that? We're gonna be seeing that in the future weeks. Next, we got a video package of Tessa Blanchard. This was basically a babyface video package, but for a heel. They are showing her heritage inside the wrestling world, and she will be making her Impact Wrestling in-ring debut next week versus Kiera Hogan. Next, we got the current Impact World Tag Team Champions Eli Drake and Big Papa Pump being interviewed, and Eli Drake talking about his match versus Pentagon Jr. on the main event, and Scott Steiner did offer him some help, but Eli Drake refused it. Next, we got a four-way dance for the #1 contendership spot for the X Division title. We got El Hijo del Fantasma defeating Drago, defeating Aerostar, and defeating Taishi Ishimori. This match was fun, but not as good as other X Division match we have seen with these people on the roster. However, I am looking forward for the match between Matt Sydal and El Hijo del Fantasma, that it is gonna happen in 2 weeks for now on Impact Wrestling. Next, we got Sami Callihan showing up to interrupt the Impact Wrestling management meeting about Sami Callihan and his future on Impact Wrestling. So Sami Callihan show up to make the case saying, hey, please keep this guy around since you did me wrong during the Impact Wrestling versus Lucha Underground show by doing something against my consent. Please keep this guy around so we could be fair and square. And the Impact Wrestling management decided to say yes, but they say, please, Eddie Edwards, we're gonna keep him around. But if you're gonna get into big trouble with him, if you're gonna get into a big fight, please don't do it under the Impact Wrestling label because we don't want that headache. Next, we got Congo Kong versus Moose. This was a match that happened on House of Hardcore. And by the way, the match ended up in a no DQ. This match ended up looking like something without any consequences. There was nothing to win or lose here. So I don't know why they chose and decided to put this on television. Maybe they could do something better in the future. But as for this match, this was not good. And overall, it hurt the whole flow of the show. Next, we got the comedy segment of the show. We got KM making Falaba run around the impact zone while KM was driving a golf car and eating Twinkies. This was fun, short, hokey, and funny, but this was what they were aiming for during this segment. Next, we got a Pro Wrestling Noah match between Brian Cage and Takeshi Shakira. Obviously, you know that Brian Cage was gonna win. If you're interested in watching this match as a full match, I'm gonna be putting the link in the description box below so you can see this match and appreciate it better than just a few clips on Impact Wrestling television. Next, we got the weird segment of the evening. We got Ali looking into a mirror and having flashback of seeing Rosemary being dragged down into a coffee by Su Young and her army of undead bride. Then Ali went in and heard a sound on the door. She decided to open up the door and there was a voodoo doll with a note on it. Ali decided to take the voodoo doll and read the note on it, but that was it. We do not know what did the note said. This was a main event of the evening. We got the challenger Eli Drake versus the Impact World Champion Pentagon Jr. for obviously the Impact World title. And this match was a leg down. I was expecting a lot more from this match. This match was like 6 minutes long. This was not a bad match, and the finish was really good and impressive. Seeing someone of the size of Eli Drake taking the Pentagon drive was good, but this was overall a letdown. I was expecting at least a match that was gonna be like 10 minutes long. Vince Russo cashed a lot of heat for putting world title matches on TV and being 5 minutes long. I don't see why this new booking team is doing that sort of stuff and not cashing any type of heat. This was not bad, but I wish this main event was longer, like a legit Impact World title match should be. My overall thoughts on this show was that it was an average show. The main event and having 2 matches outside of the Impact Zone hurt my overall rating on the show, especially the match between Congo Kong and Moose, who have a pretty below average production and standard, and on top of that ended up in a no DQ. I'm sorry to say about this, but I know that Impact Wrestling can do something better than what they produce this week. Before we go, let's talk about next week episode of Impact Wrestling. We will see Austin Aries and Mike Sydal versus Pentagon Jr. and Other Fantasma. We will also see a World Tag Team title match. Eli Drake and Big Papa Pump versus Andrew Everett and DJC. On top of that, we have another World Tour match of Brian Cage. We will also see Sami Callihan versus Eddie Edwards on House of Hardcore, and the funeral of Rosemary. If this is your first time here, make sure that you're subscribed and share this video with your friends. I will see you next Wednesday with another Impact Wrestling Related show, and Friday with the usual Impact Wrestling review just like this one. This is it for me. Goodbye and thanks for listening.